Plant between the rows, let the good things grow.
Welcome to Planting Between Rows, the podcast where we dig into the world of agriculture as students for students. In this episode, we will talk about food security and the various resources available to Penn State students. Hey, my name is Alexa Rosen.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Rose.
And my name is Emily Tavares.
Hi, I'm Anna Schaefer.
Hey, it's Bella.
You know, I think a lot of us hear the phrase food insecurity and we kind of assume that it only happens far away, right? You know, other places like Africa, stuff like that, in developing countries or places dealing with major crisis.
Yeah, totally. It's easy to picture these commercials showing extreme hunger and think that doesn't happen here. But the truth is, food insecurity exists everywhere, even right here in the US, and honestly, right here at Penn State.
Exactly. And I was reading, and according to Feeding America, food insecurity means not having consistent access to enough food, right? And not knowing where your next meal is going to come from. It's not always visible either. Someone sitting next to you in class, you know, might really be struggling quietly with food insecurity.
Right, and food insecurity really matters because food isn't just about filling your stomach. It's about staying healthy, learning, and being able to focus on your goals. Without reliable access to nutritious food, people can develop health issues, miss class, and lose motivation.
Of course, yeah, and it always affects the way more than people realize, right? For kids, it can mean lower grades and attention problems. For adults, for us, it can lead to more stress and chronic health conditions and things like that. And for college students, exactly like us, it can be the difference between finishing a degree or dropping out.
That's when we talk about sustainability. It's not just about recycling or reducing waste, it's about making sure our food systems are sustainable. Everyone should have equal access to food that's healthy, safe, and grown in a way that doesn't harm our planet.
Yes, ma'am, exactly. And sustainable food systems means producing food responsibly, right? While making sure nobody goes hungry. That's what true sustainability really looks like. You ever hear of an alligator that investigates? It's called an investigator. Crickets. Anyway, all jokes aside, how does this play out for college students like us? Well, according to the Penn State Student Affairs Office, food and housing insecurity becomes increasingly common among college students. A 2021 report from the Hope Center found that nearly 3 in 5 students nationwide struggle with basic needs like food insecurity.
That's huge. And for 4 years of college, almost 30% of students are food insecure, and about half of are housing insecure. Imagine trying to write a paper or study for finals when you're worried about your next meal.
Exactly. I've read stories of students skipping meals to stretch their meal plans or living off instant noodles because it's cheap, right? And during breaks, when dining halls close, things can even get harder for students who stay on campus and can't travel home.
Yeah, and it's not just about being hungry. Food insecurity is linked to anxiety, depression, and lower academic performance. If you're constantly worrying about food, it's hard to focus on your coursework or even enjoy college life.
It really shows how food insecurity connects to every part of student well being mental health, academics, and even retention. When universities help students meet their basic needs, everybody benefits.
Thanks for that overview, Emily and Jeremy. So now that we understand what food security is and how serious food insecurity is, let's talk about some of the policies that exist to help students that they might qualify for. I'm sure we've seen and heard about different government policies in the news recently, but one of the biggest policies in the US is a Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP.
SNAP is the largest federal food assistance program in the country. It provides monthly benefits through an EBT card, which kind of works like a debit card. You can use it at grocery stores, farmers markets, and even some online retailers such as Walmart or Amazon.
Yeah, and the great thing is it helps low-income individuals and families afford groceries. Not just fast food or luxury stuff, but actual healthy food like produce, dairy, grains, and protein.
Exactly. And college students can sometimes qualify too. If you're eligible for work study, work fewer than 20 hours a week, or have a $0 expected family contribution in your FAFSA, you might be able to apply.
I think that's something a lot of students don't realize. SNAP isn't just for families, it's for anyone that meets the requirements and needs help getting their food. Many people rely on various policies and other organizations in order to afford healthy meals to feed themselves and their families. These policies allow for people to have food security and know where their next meal is coming from.
Yeah, and it can make a real difference. Having that bit of support can take away some of the daily stress and let students focus more on studying.
Exactly. And I saw this MSNBC news piece about a student named Emily at Colorado State University. She's a fourth year undergrad and she's been on the SNAP program for about 3 months. She talked about how tough it can be being in college right now. She said, quote, being in college is a unique perspective because, it's midterm season and there's finals coming up and break. And it's really frustrating to have to, on top of all of those things, worry about working 30 hours a week and all the other things I'm doing, and then also not know where my next meal is coming from.
That's heartbreaking. It really shows how much pressure students are under.
Exactly. She also said that applying for SNAP has made a huge difference. In her words, you shouldn't have to pick between hygiene products or food, and you shouldn't have to just eat one meal a day when you're doing so much.
That's such a powerful point. It's not just about food, it's about dignity and being able to focus on school without worrying about basic needs.
Right. And she also shared her frustration. She said, I feel frustrated that in the meantime of all this back and forth, there are people like me who are hungry and are genuinely devoting our lives to trying to make the world around us a better place. I want to be a physician, which is not an easy career, so it's frustrating to want to better our society and be hungry on the way there.
That really hits. She works towards a career that helps others, but she's struggling to meet her own needs. It's a reminder that programs like SNAP aren't just about survival, they're about giving people the chance to thrive while they're building their future.
Exactly. And we can see how these policies are helping people. But unfortunately, like many federal programs, SNAP can be affected by government shutdowns or funding changes. When Congress debates budgets, it can delay or reduce benefits. A big headline in the current news is the government changing funding for programs such as SNAP. This affects a lot of people who rely on their programs for healthy meals and can affect their food security. If these benefits continue to decrease because of shifts in government funding, people may become more food insecure.
Exactly, and that's why local programs and nonprofits are so important. They can step in when national programs face cuts.
Right. And that's where food banks and food pantries come in. Food pantries are local organizations that distribute food and provide food assistance to those experiencing hunger or food insecurity. Food pantries are supplied by larger food banks, which collect and store food in bulk. The food pantries then distribute these groceries to people in their specific service area.
They have simple guidelines like proving you live in the area or meeting basic income limits, but they tend to be much more flexible and accessible than federal programs.
There's a food pantry right here in State College. And we're lucky as students because Penn State has its very own on campus food pantry called the Lions Pantry, which is created by students for students. Bella, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, definitely. The Lions Pantry is an incredible resource for any Penn State student who needs a little extra help. It's located on Bluebell Road, just a short shuttle ride from campus. All you need to bring is your student ID to be able to access the pantry. They've got all sorts of non-perishable food like canned veggies, soups, pasta, rice, cereal, and snacks, as well as toiletries like toothpaste, soap, and toilet paper. The Lions Pantry is an incredible resource for any Penn State student who needs a little extra help. It's located on Bluebell Road, just a short shuttle ride from campus. All you need to bring is your student ID and you're able to access the pantry. They have all sorts of non-perishable food items like canned veggies, soups, pastas, rice, cereal, and snacks, as well as toiletries like toothpaste, soap, and toilet paper. Students can take about 3 to 4 days worth of food and come back whenever they need more.
That is such an important resource, and it's student run too, right?
Yep, it's managed by student volunteers who really understand what it's like to juggle classes, rent, and food costs.
That's awesome. And it connects perfectly with other amazing resources on campus. The Student Farm. As beneficial as Alliance Pantry is to our student community, there's a range of fresh nutrients not currently available through that resource. That is why it's essential to recognize a student farm. The Student Farm grows fresh fruit and vegetables as part of Penn State's commitment to sustainable agriculture. They donate a lot of that produce to the Alliance Pantry, family housing, and local community partners.
That's such a cool collaboration. It ties sustainability and food security together.
Exactly. Every Wednesday from 3 to 6 p.m. from August through early November, the Student Farm hosts a Feed the People market stand at the hub. It's take what you need, pay what you can setup, so no one's turned away if they can't pay.
I've been there. Their produce is super fresh. Tomatoes, peppers, greens, and squash. It changes every week. It's such a great way to make healthy local food more accessible. This gives students the opportunity to enjoy fresh, nutritious food rather than having to access strictly non-perishables.
Totally. In 2023, the Student Farm grew over 600 pounds of produce. And they're working with the Food Recovery Network to reduce food waste by collecting surplus food from dining halls and donating it to food insecure students. The Food Recovery Network aims to recover meals left over from dining halls and deliver them to other student community members that need them. Some of these recipients are the Lions Pantry, as well as free student coffee houses, Abba Java, Out of the Cold Homeless Shelter, and St. Andrew's Community Cafe. Since the kickoff of this program, Food Recovery Network has recovered over 10,000 meals with the benefit of combating food insecurity, as well as food waste. All in all, the Student Farm gives the Penn State community an outlet to combat food shortages by providing fresh produce as well as distributing it affordably with accessibility. The Student Farm has also made it their mark recovering surplus food waste and using their social resources to educate the community about these resources and advocating for the struggling students.
Wow, that's amazing. It shows how sustainability and food security goes hand in hand. It's not just about having enough food, but it's making sure it's healthy, local grown, and we're not wasting it.
Exactly. When students get involved, whether it's volunteering at the Lions Pantry or helping out at the Student Farm, they're not just helping others, they're also learning how food systems work and how to make them better.
It's a real example of how small actions can make a huge difference. One can of food, one volunteering shift, and one local grown tomato at a time.
So, to wrap things up, food insecurity isn't some faraway issue. It's something happening right here, and it impacts students just like us.
Of course, and it directly connects us to sustainability, ensuring everyone has access to healthy food now and in the future. When looking at the state of Pennsylvania, it's a very polarizing topic because it's easy to forget that people do struggle in Pennsylvania and at the university.
Programs like SNAP, the Lions Pantry, and the Student Farm all play different roles, but they share a common goal, ensuring that no one goes hungry.
And the more we talk about it, the more we can reduce the stigma. It's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to use the resources that exist for us.
Absolutely. When students have enough to eat, they can focus, thrive, and be part of a stronger community.
So, whether you donate, volunteer, or just spread the word, you're helping create a more sustainable, food secure Penn State.
Because no student should ever have to choose between getting an education or getting a healthy meal. A healthy meal a day changes lives for students in all classrooms and settings. Thanks for listening to the Plant Between the Rows podcast episode, where we talked about food security and dove into the available resources for Penn State students and how you can make an impact. Please tune in for our next episode. Thank you.
Plant between the rows, let the good things grow.